I'm going to talk about the octane gasoline, the oil for the Russian tanks, 105 octane, etc. And my experience using these types of consumables. My experience is that it does help some tanks. I'm going to tell you which tanks it definitely helps. There is a British tank, it's a medium tank, and it's one of your favorite tanks in the game. It's the Sentinel. I use the 105 octane. If you don't use it, you won't get that top speed. You see it says top speed 60. If you don't use this, you'll probably go a lot slower, but like 40. But when you use this, it's very maneuverable and very quick. And there's also obviously another Sentinel, which I also use it on. I also use it on things like the ELC, this one. You see, I'm not using the highest one. The reason why is because this is a sluggish tank. When you're starting from scratch and you hit the gas, it's really slow to get going, has slow acceleration. So I use this on tanks that have slow acceleration. Now, there's also tanks such as the TOG, and I've used it on tanks such as the TOG. The TOG goes like 14 kilometers as its top speed. And when you use the fuel, it doesn't make it go faster. But what it does is it kind of evens out the speed. And when you go over the hills, it's mainly for going up and down hills that you are going to benefit from having that engine. Now, the question is, what tanks do you have that are slow going up hills? And you can go down the list. Something like this, 50 top speed, probably won't have a problem. But something like this, gonna be a little bit sluggish going up those hills. So you might want to use the fuel consumable on a tank like this. And not only will it help you go up the hills, but it will rotate faster. SPGs will also rotate faster. I believe it is the traverse speed. You'll notice that it doesn't say it. I thought that traverse speed was affected by fuel. Maybe it isn't. Oh, okay. It's the gun. When the gun swings around on your turret, I believe that is affected by fuel. But where does it show? Gun traverse speed. You'll notice it says 100 octane and 105 octane. So if you have an SPG such as, okay, I sold my French SPGs. If you have a French SPG such as this Bat Chat, which I could have bought but accidentally bought a gun rammer, which wasted some of my money, this has a turret. This turret is going to swing around faster. Oh, actually it doesn't. So it doesn't work with this tank. That's why you got to check. That's why you got to check. Oh, you know what? The French don't get fuel. So look at your tanks, and I'm going to go through my garage, and I'm going to tell you which tanks I think would benefit. Slow lumbering tanks, you're going to have better performance going up and down hills. If you're doing a ramming campaign, let's say there's a campaign and it says you got to ram, do ramming damage, it's going to be with a heavy tank. I don't know, is it number 12? No. 9, spot on, 8. Okay, so one of them, you have to do damage by ramming. Use the fuel in order to increase your power. Is there another one? Something like this, it's going to rotate and spin a lot faster. If someone is circling you, a light tank, many of my tank destroyers, they can't circle me because I just spin around too fast. With something like this, I would like to play this with some medium tanks, like a Ram 2. I would love to play this with a high power engine because you're already got the tops. Okay, the top speed is only 38, but you're gonna get that extra mobility when you with your traverse speed. Or maybe you don't. You're going to get a little bit of extra power and mobility with these tanks. I like to use it with medium tanks because I like to chase down enemy tanks. So in those cases, you might enjoy the fuel consumables. This type of thing, if you look over here and you say, well, I don't have the higher engine, the tank might feel sluggish. If you look at the tech tree and you look at an American tank and you look at something like the T29, which is right here, I seem to recall that this was really slow with the stock engine. Stock engine, it says 720. This one is 800. I remember not enjoying playing it. And if you look at like a French heavy tank, the ARL and the AMX, you might feel that these tanks are, oh, the AMX 65T, you might feel that they're a little sluggish. And in that case, using that to boost your power is going to help. If you look at something like the KV series, these are a little sluggish to drive with the stock engine. Let's see, German tanks. Maybe a Mauschen would help with the engine power, but they might not have the fuel additive because Germany had fuel shortages. Japan, I would definitely consider using it with things like the OI. I don't know if they have fuel additives. The Chinese have the little thing with the speed control limiter, the speed limiter. So I own one, and I highly recommend you buy one so you can practice using it. I would say that in general, these tanks don't need it. But like I said, if you need to go up a hill and you need a boost of speed and you're playing on Himmelsdorf, you might want to turn it on. It will help you get up the hill. These, I seem to recall, were kind of sluggish tanks. The Uda spins around really fast. It's not necessary. These, I don't think you need it. The Tortoise and the Badger, they're actually quite mobile, but you might enjoy using it. SPGs, I haven't tested it on. I believe that these things like the Conqueror are a little bit sluggish. I'm really not sure. So you might want to use it for that type of tank. I believe we've already covered these. Anything that has no turret like these, the 268s, you're going to spin around a lot faster. If you're worried about, if you need to switch between targets often and you're in the back, you might enjoy the quicker speed. Heavy tanks, obviously, Jagdpanzer E100 is going to need it. E100 Maus. For light tanks, you can definitely gain. Oh, you know what? The Bat Chat is a little sluggish. The Sheridan might be one of those tanks that's slow to get going. Bat Chat 25T is a little sluggish. It takes a bit of time to get up to full speed. I really don't know if it's specific power that's the value that makes a difference. But it might be the value that says specific power. You see how it says 20? That might be the value that makes a difference between a sluggish tank and one that isn't, but I'm not sure. In terms of the lower tiers, I really don't recommend using consumables at all. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to tell me how I'm completely wrong, please post below.